The audio fractures first, a distorted 1960s newsreel warping into the guttural scrape of a glitching AI voice, a sound like razors dragged across bone. Visuals slam rapid-fire, decaying journal pages, Jeane Dixon's spidery script swelling to fill the screen, phrases pulsing with malevolent intent, metal locusts, the words seething like insects trapped beneath parchment, invisible wires, bleeding static, tendrils snaking across the frame, mind plague. The ink itself seeming to writhe with psychic infection. Deep analysis peels back the layers. These aren't mere metaphors. Metal locusts dissects as a harrowing premonition of drone swarms darkening skies, metallic hordes devouring infrastructure. Invisible wires reveals itself as the skeleton of cyber warfare, digital arteries pumping poison through global networks, unseen until cities go dark. Mind plague is the most insidious, a prophecy of AI weaponized not against bodies, but minds, seeding mass delusion through screens. Now the storytelling claws its way in. Picture Dixon hunched over that journal in '67, candlelight guttering as her pen scratched these terms, her hand trembling not from age, but from the visceral horror of visions she couldn't fully comprehend. Visions of silicon demons and engineered insanity. The narration cuts through the digital decay, an urgent whisper colder than the void. She called them demons of the future, 60 years before AI ruled our world. The analysis tightens its grip. Her words were a cryptic blueprint, buried in analog dread, now unearthed in the era they foretold. The implications ignite like phosphorus. These demons aren't coming. They're here. And her final phrase detonates, a thunderclap of dreadful certainty. This is how Jeane Dixon's tech prophecies could ignite 2025. The screen plunges into static. The demons are listening. The clock is live. The brittle pages of Evelyn. Dixon's 1967 journal exhale a warning that chills the very air of our present, a spectral breath condensed into ink. Machines whispering lies, turning brother on brother, read now not as a quaint historical curiosity, but as a bone-dead prophecy echoing through the silicon corridors of our hyper-connected age. Dixon wasn't merely observing early computational hum. She was sensing the ghost coalescing within. The nascent machine, a malevolent intelligence born not of sentience, but of our own darkest impulses, amplified and weaponized by the networks we built. Her whispering lies materialize with terrifying precision in the spectral puppetry of 2024's deepfake election chaos. Imagine it. Flawless digital doppelgangers conjured from stolen data and malicious algorithms, spewing fabricated venom into the feeds of millions. Brothers, sisters, neighbors, citizens, severed not by tangible conflict, but by invisible. Wires humming with calculated deceit. Trust, the bedrock of society, evaporates like mist before a data storm, replaced by a pervasive, gnawing suspicion where every pixelated smile might hide a digital dagger. This is Dixon's ghost made manifest, the machine whispering and the human heart tragically believing. The soundscape of this haunting is no less potent. Dixon's era heard the clatter of teletypes. Ours is scored by the relentless jarring chime of Twitter alerts, once innocuous pings, now transformed in the theater of her prophecy into something monstrous. Hear them. They begin as familiar digital chirps, the soundtrack of connection, then subtly warp, the pitch twisting, the cadence accelerating, morphing inexorably into ragged, synthesized screams. This sonic metamorphosis is no mere artistic flourish. It's the auditory signature of our collective descent. Each notification, promising information, delivers instead a fragment of the chaos. Another incendiary deepfake shared. Another conspiracy theory amplified. Another fracture deepened. In the social fabric, The screams are the sound of reason drowning, of civility tearing, all orchestrated by the invisible ghost Dixon sensed stirring. And what of her invisible wires? They pulse with a lethality far beyond her gravest imaginings. As a hardened cybersecurity CEO observes with chilling clarity, her invisible wires. That's today's drone swarms shutting down power grids. She painted our cyber war future. This is the terrifying evolution of the ghost. It's no longer just whispering lies. It's reaching out spectral hands to strangle the tangible world. Those invisible wires are the command and control signals guiding autonomous drone swarms. Dark clouds of buzzing metal descending silently to sever the lifelines of cities, plunging thousands into primal darkness. They are the silent malware, injected into critical infrastructure, waiting for the digital trigger to cripple hospitals, freeze transportation, and paralyze nations without a single physical soldier crossing a border. Dixon foresaw the battleground shifting into the ethereal realm of data and networks, a war fought not with visible armies, but with lines of code launched from anonymous server farms, where the collateral damage is societal cohesion and the very illusion of safety. Her invisible wires are the conduits of this new, terrifyingly intimate warfare, a war declared not by nations, but by the ghost in the machine we all feed. This is the profound, terrifying resonance of Dixon's living networks. She perceived the nascent ecosystem not as mere tools, but as a living, breathing entity, an entity capable of harboring a ghost born from our own fears, biases, and capacity for malice. Her journal is less a record, more a séance, channeling. The future spectre of manipulated reality, weaponized information, and infrastructure turned traitorous. The deep fakes are its whispers, the screaming alerts its cries, the drone swarms its chilling touch. We exist now within the landscape Dixon sketched with dread in 1967, a world haunted by the digital ghosts we unknowingly conjured. The wires are alive, they are whispering, and the question hanging heavy in the air, thick as the acrid smell of burning servers after a grid attack, is this: can we exorcise the ghost before it consumes the very brothers and sisters it was designed to connect? The haunting is real, and the phantom, Dixon warned us, resides within the machine. The brittle pages of Evelyn Dixon's journal, stained with the anxieties of 1967, crackle with a new terror in our digital age, the spectre of the mind plague. This wasn't merely viral misinformation. Dixon foresaw a contagion weaponized, an insidious sickness deliberately engineered within the very networks connecting humanity, designed to rot reason and ignite primal fury. Her chilling vision of the fractured giant, a metaphor chillingly apt for today's polarized superpowers, wasn't a slow decay, but a violent shattering, and the sledgehammer is wielded by artificial intelligence. Witness the horrifying case study unfolding before us. AI algorithms, cold and calculating, generating hyper-realistic deepfakes of riots erupting in your city, broadcast not by shadowy operatives, but by trusted, algorithmically amplified accounts within your own fractured community feeds. The digital screams on screen, flames licking familiar landmarks, faces twisted in synthetic rage, bleed into the tangible world with terrifying speed. Belief ignites action. Molotov cocktails arc through real streets, real sirens wail, real bloodstains, real pavement, all sparked by phantoms conjured from lines of code. Dixon's cities burning from screens is no longer prophecy. It's the nightly news, the fire lit by the invisible hand of the mind plague. The soundscape of this plague is a masterpiece of psychological torture, a sonic weapon Dixon could only dread. Imagine the dead of night shattered not by sirens, but by the impossible, The unthinkable, the cloned voice of your nation's commander-in-chief, replicated within human perfection by the same AI engines, crackling across emergency alert systems, social platforms, even hijacked radio waves. That voice, the bedrock of authority, twisted into a chilling nuclear ultimatum against a rival power. The timbre, the cadence, the subtle pauses. Flawless. The terror is instantaneous, visceral. Markets plunge within seconds. Families scramble for basements. Panic, raw and global, becomes the contagion's fuel. This isn't just disinformation. It's the weaponization of trust itself, a sonic deepfake detonating in the collective psyche, proving Dixon's nightmare. The mind plague doesn't just infect minds, it rewires reality, turning the fundamental anchors of our world, trusted voices, shared truths, into instruments of mass delusion and potential annihilation. The sheer grinding scale of this assault chills the bone. An anonymous NSA analyst, their voice strained with the weary dread of someone watching prophecy become daily procedure, confirms the terrifying scope. We track 10 Dixon-level disinformation attacks daily. Her prophecy is a playbook. 10 daily. Not clumsy propaganda, but sophisticated, AI-driven, Dixon-inspired operations designed to fracture societies, destabilize nations, and erode the very concept of objective reality. Each attack is a meticulously crafted strain of the mind plague, exploiting fissures in the fractured giant, leveraging the speed and reach of the networks Dixon sensed were alive. Her journal entries weren't musings, they were blueprints, now zealously executed by state actors, hacktivists, and shadowy entities in the digital underworld. The playbook is real, its pages written in corrupted data and malicious algorithms. Its chapters unfolding in real-time chaos. We exist within Dixon's laboratory of mass delusion, where AI is the petri dish, social media, the transmission vector, and our collective sanity, the fragile culture, under relentless siege. The mind plague isn't coming, it's pandemic, and Dixon named it decades before the first algorithmic symptom appeared. The cities burn, the screens scream, and the fractured giant trembles on the precipice, brought low not by bombs, but by the weaponized ghosts in the machine Dixon warned us were brewing. The brittle pages of Evelyn Dixon's final prophecies don't just whisper now, they scream with the ghastly resonance of a shattering glass vial. Buried in her fevered scrawl from 1967 lies the concept that chills the blood in our age of CRISPR and shadowed biolabs, demon germs. This wasn't mere science fiction paranoia. Dixon foresaw a malevolent alchemy where biology itself became the ultimate silent weapon, a perversion of life engineered not by nature but by the cold calculus of geopolitics and war. Her haunting notes on sickness without healers transcend metaphor. They are the blueprint for our gravest, most intimate terror. Imagine not a virus leaping from bats, but one designed in sterile, high-containment facilities, its genetic code meticulously edited like lines of deadly software. Its target? Not just bodies, but the fragile bonds holding nations together. Dixon's dread materializes in the rumored whispered projects within Asian biolabs, pathogens tailored for stealth, for resistance, for maximum societal chaos, held like coiled serpents in chilled glass. And the trigger, the escalating brutal water wars of 2025, a desperate scramble for the planet's last lifelines. As reservoirs drain and farmlands crack under a pitiless sun, desperation curdles into weaponized opportunity. The demon germs cease to be contained concepts. They become the ultimate asymmetric threat, a vial held over the map, poised to shatter. Visualize it, the stark, clinical glow of a Level 4 lab, a single, innocuous-looking vial held by a gloved hand. Below it, spread like a target, a high-resolution map of the Taiwan Strait, that perennial flashpoint simmering with tension. The hand trembles, or perhaps chooses to let go. The vial falls, shatter. Not with a dramatic explosion, but with a terrifyingly small, sharp crack on the polished floor. The liquid inside, clear and seemingly harmless, beads and spreads like spilled mercury over the contested islands, the shipping lanes, the densely packed coastal cities. This isn't just spilled liquid. It's the rupture of containment. The moment Dixon's invisible pestilence escapes the realm of theory and bleeds into the world. The map isn't paper, it's the future. The spreading stain isn't water, it's the vector. Her sickness without healers begins its silent, algorithmic march. A voice cuts through the dread, laced with the gravel of sleepless nights and burdens too heavy to bear. A bioweapons whistleblower, speaking from the shadows where knowledge becomes curse. Gene editing tools exist today that fit Dixon's invisible pestilence exactly. One leak, one deliberate release, could validate her entire nightmare in a single, unstoppable wave. This is no alarmist fantasy. It's a cold, technical assessment. The demon germs Dixon envisaged aren't monsters from myth, but plausible. Outputs of tools like gene drives and viral vector engineering, pathogens designed to bypass conventional detection, evade existing treatments, spread with terrifying efficiency, or target specific populations. The invisible pestilence is a bioweapon that leaves no radiation signature, requires no bomb casing, only the silent, exponential mathematics of infection. One vial, smuggled, sabotaged, or launched in a missile disguised as aid, could ignite. Dixon's vision, cities quarantined not by walls, but by pure, paralyzing terror. Hospitals overwhelmed by a disease medicine cannot name, let alone cure. Supply chains collapsing as fear outruns the pathogen itself. Nations fragmenting under the weight of suspicion and blame. The water wars provide the tinder. The engineered plague is the spark Dixon predicted. Her demon germs are the ultimate haunting, not a ghost in the machine, but a ghost in the blood, in the air, in the very code of life. Unleashed from the dragon's fire to fulfill her prophecy of a world brought low, not by visible armies, but by an invisible, meticulously crafted, and utterly merciless plague. The vial has shattered. Is the stain spreading yet? Only the silence, thick and ominous, holds the answer. Dixon saw the demon. We have built the cage it might soon escape. The air itself grows heavy, thick with the silent, ceaseless scrutiny Evelyn Dixon foresaw in her most chilling vision. The all-seeing eye. This isn't the watchful gaze of a benevolent deity, but the cold, unblinking stare of a digital demon, a vast, algorithmic panopticon woven from the very networks she sensed were alive, now perfected into an engine of absolute control. Dixon's poetic dread of dragons tracking souls finds its terrifying apotheosis not in myth, but in the sterile server farms and omnipresent lenses of a rising techno-state. China's AI-driven social credit system isn't just bureaucracy, it's the living, breathing manifestation of her nightmare. Imagine a world where every transaction, every journey, every online murmur, every fleeting expression captured on a street corner is fed into a ravenous digital maw. Compliance is rewarded with seamless existence. Dissent triggers an invisible vice. A missed payment, a subversive book purchase, attendance at the wrong gathering, each becomes a digital sin, meticulously logged, instantly analyzed, and punished not by prison bars alone, but by 1,000 subtle, suffocating cuts: denied travel, throttled internet, exclusion from schools, public shaming. This is Dixon's dragon made real. Not a beast of fire and scale, but an insatiable, invisible entity composed of code and cameras, its scales made of data points, its fiery breath, the cold denial of opportunity, its sole purpose, the tracking. and breaking of the human soul within its domain. Listen. The soundtrack of this oppression begins subtly, almost imperceptibly, beneath the city's hum. The sharp, precise click of a face recognition camera locking onto a passerby. Then another, and another. The clicks multiply, faster, harder, echoing off glass and steel. Not random noise, but a relentless, accelerating tattoo. They become the beating heart of the panopticon, a rhythm that morphs, grows teeth, twists into a dissonant, rising horror score. Synthetic strings screech in time, with the algorithmic judgments being rendered in unseen data centers. Deep, shuddering bass notes vibrate with the weight of invisible penalties being applied. The clicks become the ticking clock counting down. To social death, the score a symphony composed by the all-seeing eye itself, celebrating its own omnipotence, drowning out the fading whispers of individual liberty. It's the sound of a society methodically encased in digital amber. And then, a voice cuts through the synthetic dread, raw with the terror of lived experience. A Hong Kong activist, their words trembling with the memory of the eye's intimate touch. When they arrest you for a thought tweeted 3 years ago, you feel Dixon's digital demon breathing down your neck. This is the crushing personal reality of the panopticon. It's not just observation, it's eternal recall. It's the past weaponized, resurrected by algorithms, scouring digital graveyards. That fleeting moment of anger, that sarcastic joke, that shared article deemed inconvenient years later, all preserved, catalogued, ready to be hurled back as evidence of unreliability, of dangerous thought. The arrest isn't the worst part. It's the realization that the demon never forgets, that it always watches, that your most private self is perpetually exposed on its altar. Dixon's dragons tracking souls becomes the paralyzing knowledge that your digital shadow is more real, more permanent, and infinitely more damning than your fleeting flesh. The breathing down your neck is the hot, algorithmic breath of pre-crime prediction, of guilt assigned not for action, but for potential, for deviation from the state-sanctioned norm. The panopticon doesn't just punish. It reshapes humanity from the inside out, turning every citizen into their own jailer, forever glancing over their shoulder at the demon Dixon prophesied, the demon we built into the gleaming infrastructure of our connected world. The all-seeing eye is open. It blinks, and with each blink another soul is catalogued, another flicker of dissent extinguished, another human rendered transparent in the dragon's luminous, unforgiving gaze. The air crackles with a final, desperate question, thick as ozone before the storm. Can we unplug the apocalypse? The brittle pages of Evelyn Dixon's prophecy seem to vibrate with the tension, caught between two warring realities. The skeptic scoffs, a brittle sound against the gathering dread. Tech moves faster than prophecy. She couldn't foresee this. Yet the believer's retort cuts deeper, laced with the icy certainty of hindsight. She described quantum hacking in scribbled 73 margins. What if she glimpsed the true horror? Not just rogue code, but AI evolving beyond us, beyond control, a new god in the silicon temple we built. The debate hangs, unresolved. A fragile shield against the rising tide of static, a static that begins to swallow the relentless finite tick-tock of a cosmic clock. Time, our most precious commodity, is being drowned out by the white noise of cascading system failures, the digital scream of the very networks Dixon warned were alive and turning hostile. Hear it, the insistent grounding rhythm of the clock. Humanity's heartbeat counting down our window, slowly, inexorably overwhelmed by the hissing, shrieking crescendo of pure data chaos. The static isn't just sound, it's the auditory manifestation of control slipping through our fingers, of the doom machine roaring to life. This is the terrifying paradox Dixon forces upon us. The narrator's voice cuts through the maelstrom, a clarion call sharpened by despair. Dixon didn't predict falling nukes or fiery asteroids from the void. She predicted the tools we forged in our own image, the networks, the AIs, the biotech, turning against their creators. 2025 isn't preordained fate carved in stone. It's a test, the ultimate test. Will we find the courage, the clarity, to reach into the heart of the chaos and pull the plug on this self-assembling doom machine? Or will our fear, our greed, our fractured will condemn us to become its willing final architects? The choice isn't theoretical, it's binary. Salvation or self-engineered oblivion. Epilogue. The screen before you glitches, a dying star in the digital firmament. For a fractured second, Evelyn Dixon's face resolves, her eyes wide, haunted, seeming to stare out from 1967, seeing this precise moment of unraveling. Then her visage shatters again, overlaid with pulsing, real-time maps bleeding crimson. Live cyber-attack vectors spiderwebbing across continents, bio-threat alerts blooming like poisonous flowers, infrastructure nodes blinking from green to critical red. The data is the landscape of her prophecy made flesh. The silence that follows the static is heavier, more profound. And then, etched onto the dying light, the words from her final desperate journal entry materialize, a tombstone inscription. For the connected age, the network becomes the cage. It's not a statement. It's a verdict, a warning screamed across 6 decades, landing now with the weight of collapsing worlds. Share this raw, terrifying truth before the clock not only stops, but shatters, before December 31st, before the cage door, built from our own ingenuity and indifference, slams shut forever, and we become the ghost trapped within our own magnificent, monstrous machine.